rebuilding. A catastrophic failure, a new start. Physically, mentally, our careers, our businesses. Step back, first step, next step. The driver in me just wants to get it done tomorrow. We'll do this, do that, let's move this, where are we at with this? You build some confidence, build some self-esteem, start to feel better about yourself. The Silverback Blueprint Podcast, a show for men over 40 who focus on getting stronger, staying motivated, building discipline, creating a community, and becoming truly happy. Guys, welcome back to the Silverback Blueprint Podcast, episode 54. Becoming successful leaves you naked. So I had to get the word naked in there. It's just something that I've been doing for a long time, is just how do I get the word naked in there? No, listen, really cool concept. And I was talking to a couple guys last week, some entrepreneurs, and real entrepreneurs, not the fake entrepreneurs that, I'm going to do this someday. And, these are guys that are getting shit done. One guy's doing what we call a side entrepreneur. So he works full time and he's building a business on the side and he's working it. The other guy has been at it for about a year and a half or so, full time, and he's grinding away and he's getting shit done and stuff. And, anytime I'm sitting in a room with any individuals like that, I like to have cool conversations about what's happening, what are they going through, what are they feeling and stuff, because it's just until you sit and have that conversation with other business owners and entrepreneurs, it's just on a different level. It's like, talking to someone who's been to the same place you went to on a trip, and there's 3 people at the table and 2 of you have been to this place and the third hasn't, right? The third might be aware of the place and heard of it and heard your stories, but they just don't have that same, that feeling, the congruency, just that whole, I've been there, you know what I mean? The realness of it. So the conversation is going to be different. And it's the same thing when we're talking from business owner to business owner, entrepreneur. Business owners and entrepreneurs aren't better than people who work for a living. It's none of that stuff. It's a different wiring. You're a different breed, right? And it's just nice to sit there. I'll give you an example. My wife, a phenomenal lady, hardworking lady, works for the government, has a great position, works her ass off for it and stuff. And I'm very aware of what she does. And I hear all the stories and who's this and who's that and what's going on. And I see the work she puts in. So I have an appreciation for it. But I can't honestly sit there and have a conversation. If she has something she needs to talk about, like a work thing, about that environment, I do my best to do the listening, but I'm not going to have the same response as when she talks to a colleague of hers who comes from that background, right? So it's the same thing when we talk about entrepreneurs and things. And the subject that we got onto is how things actually start to change dramatically as you become more successful. And, I use the term, leaves you naked, because you get to stages as you become more successful that you haven't been before, right? And there's a weird, I don't like the word empty because it's not, it's a very fulfilling thing, but you just know sometimes, if you're out there with a bunch of people and you're walking and all of a sudden you realize that you're already 100 feet ahead of everyone because they've stopped to look at something, and you just get this feeling that you're alone out there, and you kind of get that naked feeling. Well, that's what I'm talking about, is that as you become successful, you start walking in and being in areas in your life that you haven't been before. So it feels very, alone. And I don't mean in a lonely way. You just realize that you're in a different stage and you haven't been there before, right? And the same thing happens too, is if you're training and you're going after your goals and all of a sudden, you're losing 20, 30 pounds and, the group of people you hang out with aren't doing that. Right? Well, you're in a different stage all of a sudden. You've got more energy, you feel better, your headspace is better and stuff. All of a sudden, you're going to be in an area that you might not have been in such a long time, where you've never been, where you feel naked. You feel like, whoa, this is different, right? You come to the realization that you're not in Kansas anymore, right? And it's a cool feeling, but at the same time, it can be a little scary, obviously. It can feel a little daunting, but it can also feel, how's the word I'm looking for? You can also feel that you're just, you're breaking new ground, the adventure is happening and stuff, right? And it's important to have that. And it's important to feel that, because that excitement that breeds is super important to keep you motivated, but it's also super important to keep pulling you forward as you go through things, the good, the bad, and the ugly, as I often like to say and stuff, because as things progress, you're going to be in situations that you haven't been before. A lot of them good, some of them not so good. You're going to run into situations that you're not sure how to handle, right? As we get better at dealing with conflict, or we get better at dealing with tough situations, we get better using our resources and having confidence in our way, and knowing that we can get through anything if we just break it down one step at a time. One of my favorite quotes I like to use when people are struggling with something is I just ask them, I say, how do you eat an elephant? And they're like, what? How do you eat an elephant? And the answer is one bite at a time. Don't look at the size of it. Don't be overwhelmed. Just start. Right? So it's the same thing when we're starting to experience new levels of success, whether it's in business, in our personal lives, in our jobs, in our careers. Listen, same thing. If you're in a job and you get promoted to a new level and you've never been there before, you're going to have that naked feeling, right? You're out there in front of, you feel like everyone's watching you. You're out in front of everyone and stuff. And you have an idea what the job is, but now you're in it for the first time, right? So I think it's a really cool concept. I think it's super important to get that and have that success happening and stuff, and realize that, it's, if you keep moving forward, it's going to happen more and more often. And you don't really know where some things are going to take you, right? You don't, we come up with plans and we have visions and things like that where we want to see ourselves or our business or our careers. But often when we get to where we think we're going to be, we're in a different place. It takes us somewhere that we didn't think it was going to take us, right? Or it takes us well beyond it, right? The biggest thing, guys, is showing up, right? Because if you're present, things will happen to you, right? If you're working hard and you're putting the work in, you're doing the small things, you're getting those, you're putting in the work, things are going to happen. And, it's you have to have faith in that. You have to understand that if I just show up every day and I put that work in, I'm going to become more successful. I'm going to be moving the ball down the field, but I'm also going to get in situations where I've never been before, right? And we need to understand that it's going to happen. When we get there, we need to embrace it. And one thing we need to make sure that we don't do is that we don't step back out of fear, right? Because especially when we're making changes. I mean, you guys listening, making changes and rebuilding and stuff, you've been in this situation. You've lost 20 pounds, you're doing really well. All of a sudden you're at a social event where you're with your buddies and stuff. The UFC just happened. I know a lot of guys got together and watched the fights and stuff. And all of a sudden, the shit food's out, all the booze is out and stuff like that. And you really don't want to partake in that because you're doing really well and it's not your cheat night or whatever. And you're right. You're doing the right thing, but there's a lot of pressure. Come on, buddy. Well, come on. What's one beer? What are you doing it all for if you can't even do this, right? But if you step back, it's a real slippery slope overall. But it's not a comfortable feeling. It's not a comfortable feeling to be in a room full of people where you're the one making a bunch of the changes and the environment wants to suck you back in. Right? But it's a little nerve-wracking. It's a little scary to stay out in front like that, right? Because you have to be strong in your will. You have to be confident. And at the same time, you also have to be comfortable with the fact that, if you stay out in front, things are going to change. We talk about your circle of influence and who you're hanging out with. Those are some of the big signs that has to change overall, right? And that's not always comfortable. That's not always a comfortable conversation with your buddy who's trying to, get you to have a beer with him because he's already, 7 beers in and stuff like that. And you know what? Most times they mean well because they just want to see you have a good time. There's fuckers out there that just want to see you, sabotage you because they don't want to see you succeed when they're not succeeding. And that's a real thing as well. We've talked about that before, right? So becoming successful, it's going to put you out in front. It's going to put you in a situation where you are going to feel naked and alone out there. And, you've got to brace yourself for that. You got to know it's coming. And then you've got to just, bite your bottom lip and keep moving forward and take it in. Be present in that, right? Sit there and, bask in it, appreciate yourself being there, and then sit there and say, okay, well, what's going to happen now? What's next, right? Look around. What does that look like? What does it feel like? And when you do that, you're going to get more comfortable with that. Right? Often we want to get into a situation where we do improve, but we also understand that improving is going to come with a cost. And a lot of times I don't think we're fully aware of how much that cost is to us, right? In our comfort, in our security, in our just, feeling at peace, right? That kind of thing. So it's really important that we understand that is a cost. And I think that's a fear. The fear of success is a very real thing. Right? We talk about the fear of failure, but the bigger fear is the fear of success. What if I succeed? Am I going to be able to handle it? Am I going to be able to maintain this? Am I going to be able to keep moving forward? Like, you just, how busy am I going to be? And how am I going to balance everything? And you know what, at the end of the day, those are all real concerns and those are viable emotions that you need to deal with. But I'd much rather have those than have the other ones and sit there and saying, it sucks where I am. I don't like what's happening. I'm not moving forward, because I'm tired of those feelings. Right? So I'd much rather have a new and scary feeling than the same old shitstorm that we're in, that we're not happy with and stuff like that. But sometimes, right, the devil, you just feel, well, I know what to expect and it's comfortable here and stuff like that, right? And that's my whole thing today. I want to talk to you guys and just say, listen, strive for the change, keep rebuilding, put yourself out there, do things that you want to do that aren't easy, and be ready to stand there out in front of everyone, stand there and feel naked, but understand that that's what we're doing it for. That's part of the journey. That's the excitement, right? We often talk about it's not the end result, right? It's the journey getting there, and that's part of it, right? Strive for that, accept that, and go out, feel that, and when you're there, take it all in, soak it all up, and get the energy from that overall. Right? And you can always step back a little bit once in a while, come back into the cold, from the cold a little bit, regroup, and then, find a way to do that better. Find a way to manage that more effectively. Or, like we talked about before, changing your circle of influence. Get out there with other guys that are doing this. Get out there with other guys that are making things happen. We have a cool little workout group that I'm working out with in the mornings. And it just kind of naturally happened, where, it's me, it's Eric, it's Kevin, Phil, and when we look at, we're guys that are getting stuff done. We're guys that know it's important to get our workouts in. We're trying to get them done earlier in the day, because at night we're busy, right? Either with family or, in my case, family, and the business, the gym's busier at night. So I don't always have the energy and the focus to try to get those workouts in at 8:00 at night, either when I'm tired or when I get a lot of people in front of me that want my attention, right? And that need my attention, and that's what I'm there for. But getting those workouts in where, I'm hanging out with these guys and we're training, but not only just training, but we're talking, we're having that entrepreneur conversation. We're having that conversation of, we're just guys getting shit done. So the stuff we talk about is comes from that. You know what I mean? Like it's just a different vibe. It's a different feeling, right? Like I said, I strive for being, I don't want to be the smartest guy in the room. I want to feel, in fact, sometimes I'm the guy that just barely made it in, so that I feel that I'm going to get the most of being in that room overall, right? And that's a big part of it. That's part of that naked feeling, and that's not a normal thing, right? A lot of times we want to hang out with people, we know, we all kind of have our positions or our we all have our roles. That's the word I was looking for. And we all, this guy's this, the funny guy, this guy is the angry guy, this guy's this guy, and sometimes we want to slip back into those roles that are comfortable, that, we know what to expect. But, get out, change your role, get in front of other people that are doing what you want to do, right? They're doing the things they want to do. And it might not be exactly what you're doing, but they're doing stuff. Right? So if you want to be healthier, hang out with healthier people. If you want to be fitter, hang out with fitter people. If you want to be financially better or well off, hang out with people that are doing financial things that are making them better financially as well, right? And again, it's that newness, and you're going to feel out of place, but it won't be long before you feel comfortable and at home at a new level and a new position and stuff like that, right? So anyway, it was just pretty cool the way that conversation happened. And I think one of the guys, they're the ones that said, yeah, sometimes I just feel naked out there. And I'm like, oh, what a great topic for a podcast and stuff, right? So guys, same thing, business, fitness, health, relationships. If you're becoming more successful and you're getting stuff done, you're going to be getting into new territory quite often. And, you're going to feel that. And I just want you to embrace it. And I want you to understand that comes with the territory of being successful, and don't let it scare you. Face it, deal with it, and even better things are going to keep coming. Guys, that's it for now. Listen, head on over to iTunes, or at the bottom of this episode, rate us, give us 5 stars. Let us know that you love us, that we're on the right track. And again, kurthaas@gmail.com if you have any questions or comment. Don't forget to head on over to Hostile Gear. We're using the code Silverback. Gets you 20% off on any of your purchases. Check out the sweet hoodies where it's November right now. If you're in your time machine and you're listening to this in July, well, get a hoodie anyway, and you'll be ahead of the game for the fall, right? If not, if you're feeling a little chilly, hook up with a cool hoodie. And if it is August, get a tank top. We got all kinds of cool stuff. Guys, I'll talk to you guys later.